Well, hello, my YouTube friends. So let's talk about the Second Amendment and God-given rights. So, do you have the right to own a gun? Did God give you the right to own a gun? Is there somewhere in here? This is a Scofield Reference Bible. It's the authorized edition. There must be somewhere something in here that tells me I have the right to own a gun, because it's what it's all about. You always hear about my God-given rights. Here's something right here. What does this say? Maybe this is what I'm looking for. This Bible belonged to my grandfather, David Meek Taylor, who bought it many years before his passing, November 15th, 1943. He was born April 4th, 1871. Now, not my grandfather, the person who owned this Bible. It was given to me by my grandmother, Minnie Brown Taylor, whose birth was at Mount Ayer, Iowa, September 1870. And the previous owner wrote that on August 27, 1951. Okay, so there's D.M. Taylor. What was his grandfather's name? David Meek Taylor. So this was purchased in the 1920s, 1930s. Let's get a copyright date, and then we'll explore we'll see if we can figure out if we have God-given right to own a gun. Do you have a right to own an AR-15, a military-grade weapon? I was told that if I think military grade it means something or is like super incredible because it's military grade, then I was never in the Army. And I was never in the Army. Anyway, this is copyright 1917, Oxford University Press. It's a Scofield reference. So there must be somewhere in here that tells me that God said I can own an AR-15. Not sure where, though, but I know it's in there. Okay, maybe, let me see, what's this one? The NIV. What about one of these New Age Bibles? They're so easy to understand, but you still have to cross-reference 27 different scriptures because they're so easy to understand. You can't just read the scripture. Ew. Okay, that's not... Yeah, we're going to skip over that one. I don't know if you saw that, verse 23 or verse 1, whatever that was. Yeah, that's not the rights we're looking for. I don't know if you have a right to own a gun, if that, maybe I got some, I got plenty of New Age Bibles around here. Today's English version. I think this one has stick figures in it. That's a sad-looking king right there. I tell you, it's all useless. All right? So, all right, enough of that. Do we have the right to own an AR-15 or a gun of any sort? So, your typical 6 rounds of .357, that's enough to drive off the neighborhood burglar. But criminals don't always just show up one at a time. They show up in force. And especially the criminals that are employed by the government. When they show up, there's a bunch of them. So how do we protect ourselves? And do we have the right? Did God give us the right? Well, let's see. Natural rights. Okay, let's look to the animal kingdom. Because we are animals. Yeah, okay, you're not an animal. What are you? A vegetable? A mineral. Okay? So if you're not a vegetable or a mineral, then you're an animal. So let's look to the animal kingdom and see if we can extrapolate any of our God-given rights. So I came to the conclusion, or I thought about it for a few minutes, and I said, well, God gave every living organism two things. He gave every living organism how's this thing supposed to work? Do I gotta move that little flap first, or just, let's see here. There we go. Come on. I hardly ever do it this way. So God gave every living organism a survival instinct, right? Every living organism wants to live. Except for the squirrels, they often commit suicide, but you won't see an animal commit suicide. They have a survival instinct. Every living organism has a survival instinct. People don't want to die, right? People will always call for help at the end. Even if they lived their whole life as an atheist, when the last day gets here, they'll be praying, right? So everyone wants to live. Boy, this one, good thing I tested this. If I waited for the criminals, I'd be hurting. But that's how it's supposed to work. So what else did God give every living creature? A defense mechanism. Every living creature has a survival instinct and a defense mechanism, right? Birds get scared, they fly away. Their defense mechanism, that thing's loose. Supposed to be that loose? I should crimp it. Most animals have claws. They bite hard, right? So people have the ability to make and use tools. That is our defensive mechanism, the ability to make and use tools. Now, a gun is an inanimate object. A gun can be a tool. It can be a tool for self-defense. So God gave people a survival instinct and the ability to make and use tools, and that is our defensive mechanism, the ability to make and use tools. So I'm going to say most people, and if you disagree with me, go ahead and put it in the comments. I'm going to say most people choose the most effective tool for the task at hand. Now, if you like doing things the hard way and you want the least effective tool, then, put that in the comments if you want, but I'm generalizing. Okay, now, did that go in? So, yes, God gave us the right to own guns. God gave us a survival instinct and a defensive mechanism. We were born with both of those things. Government did not grant us the right or grant us the ability to use tools. Government did not give us the knowledge and intelligence to make tools. We were born with that. That was given to us by God at the time of our creation. So yes, we have a right to live and we have a right to defend ourselves. God gave us those things. Government did not give us those things. So the short answer is yes, God gave us the right to own a gun. Government did not do that. So I hope I made sense, I guess. I don't know. It seems pretty clear to me. Seems pretty obvious. And Pete Egger, if you happen to see this, there's the letter F right there. And this is a stoner, because stoners rule. Yeah, ARS on the end right there. 5.6 NATO, 1 in 9 ARS. So it's a stoner. Stoner's rule. Stoner's rule. And the only problem with this particular tool is that it's a lawfully registered assault weapon and is California compliant, and it has the bullet button mag release, which means you have to have a tool. But luckily, God gave me the ability to make and use tools. You have to use a tool to remove the magazine. But that is just an aside. All right, my friends, you have a good day.